Hey, how's it going? This is Polly from Technic with a 2025 year model Tenere 700. We're going to do a tear down here for you guys, just so you can see what's different, what's the same, and what we can do. All right, let's crack into it. Okay, so we've got it all clamped up here. So you've got a 44mm oct on it, not a hex. So we do make a tool for these. It was originally for the World Raid, but it'll work for this too. It's also got a handy hex on the other side for your preload adjuster. So we're going to start off by winding the preload all the way off. Practically there already. So we can get to opening it up. All right, we're done there. So you can see here, this is your preload adjuster. One of the main differences between the 2024 and the 25 editions. Not really that much to see here. I see KYB. You see this on practically any KYB fork that's got a preload adjuster. Yeah, get it over to the spring compressor. A little bit more. So we got a 17mm nut here. Just unscrew the adjuster from the jam nut. Nice and easy. All right. Here's your adjuster. Put that down there. Pull out the push rod too. And release the strain on the spring. It's for the spring mount there. We'll test this up on the spring dyno later on, and we'll pull the oil out. Normally, we wouldn't keep this. We're just trying to measure the oil volume so we can give you an idea of how much you're going to need when you're doing a service later. All right, there's probably still a little bit left in the cartridge, but we're currently at about 425 mils, so I reckon 1 liter of oil will do you for 2 forks on a service. And now we're going to get the cartridge out. You can't see it, but there's a little bung, little rubber bung in the bottom. It's just there to protect your adjuster. And I think it is a 17mm hex. Make a liar out of me. All right, I'll be back when I figure out what it actually is. Okay, so we're back. It was a 14. I'm just gonna quickly pull the damper rod out, get this jam screw, take off this jam screw, jam nut. Okay, easy. Yep. And take off the spring guide. Now we can put our KYB cartridge tool down there, key it into the seal case. So some people use an impact gun to take this off, and you can. It's just, we're trying to be gentle here. There's no need to damage anything unnecessarily. Okay, that's putting up a bit of a fight. I'm just gonna crack that and we'll be back. Okay, so I've changed my mind. We are gonna use a darker. So that should have loosened that up. Yeah. Unscrew that from the base valve. Okay, so that's loose now. And here is your cartridge. We'll be pulling that apart in a minute. And we'll see if the base valve wants to come out or if it wants to be. We'll just see if we can push it out with the cartridge. Yeah, I think that's going to need a bit of persuasion. We'll be back with the bar. All right, so we're back. Got this Delrin rod, so we can be a bit gentle with it. And there we go. It's free. So there it is. There's your base valve. From first looks, it looks pretty similar to your standard Tenere. Okay, so we've got that clamped up nicely now. We're going to use the same cartridge tool, slot it into the slots, and we're going to pull it apart. Now, some people don't use cartridge clamps. I think that's probably a silly idea. You will crush the cartridge and you'll turn it from a circle into an oval. It's not good. Your piston's a circle, not an oval. Thicky, that's what we're working with. Just your bog standard 20mm KYB piston. Soft band, nothing wrong with it. You'll see these in Desert X's, in Tourays, in the standard Tenere, even in the MT450, the CF motor. Pretty bog standard piston. Pretty good. Keep going. All right, so here's all your bits laid out. You've got your preload adjuster. It's pretty standard. You'll see a similar sort of design on a lot of KYB equipped adventure bikes. How it works is it's pretty much just riding up and down on these fins here. When you screw that in, it moves these wings up and compresses the spring. Then you've got your rebound adjustment. It's pretty much just a little screw with a clicker in it, and it's pushing this push rod up and down in here, up against the needle in there. We'll show you that a bit later. You've got your cartridge tube, it's steel, your base valve, and your spring. We've already tested this, and the figures will be up on our website. All right, so I'm quickly going to disassemble the forks and clean them up and change them over to SKF seals before we fit our kit. So this is how it's done. Just get a little, I like to use a flat tool so I don't scratch anything. Knock the dust wiper out. Apply on the clip. Clip out. And just pull it like you're using a slide hammer. Done. It's all off. You just get in there with your fingernails and remove the slide bush. Just like that. And then you can slide everything else off. Cool. So I'm gonna go polish these up and clean the outers up off camera, and then we'll be back later. All right, legend. I've cleaned up the tubes and put SKF seals in them. Now we're gonna put the kit back into the bike. Then we'll chuck it on the dyno and see how we go. So first up, we're gonna put in our new needles. Come with spring. Just slot in like the old time. Gonna quickly grab a rag and clean the top of the damper tube. Give it a dab of Loctite. Just like that. We can put our new stainless steel assembly on. Okay, nice and easy, hand tight at first. Grab a 14mm spanner, just like the old one. And cinch it up.
Yeah. They what sort of forks are they?
All right, now we can put the cartridge back in and guide it into the little groove at the bottom. Put a dab of thread lock on the comp assembly. It's got a 17mm hex on it.
Yeah.
There we go. And once again, give that a cinch up. So you'll know you're finished with this when you can feel the crush washer crush. There we go. All right, we're gonna put the oil in and bleed it up, but first we're gonna put the push rod back in, just because I'll forget it otherwise. So for starters, it doesn't really matter how much you put in, just fill it as far as it will go. You'll see two little holes in it. You actually do want to fill it up past that way you'll fill up the outer tube also. You don't. Now we can screw our bleeding handle on the other side. Or you can just do this in your hand with your hand. I won't stop you. Not the first time. So these take quite a while to bleed up because they've got quite a stiff compression valve. So you need to start filling up the cartridge. And it's a bit hard to get oil in there at first. You just stick with it and eventually you'll start to feel it make damping and you'll see the oil level go down. So I'm gonna bleed this up off camera and then we'll set the level. All right, we're all bled up now. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna set our oil height to 80mm. We're gonna push the rod back in. Just gonna double check this. Yeah. Tools like this are great, but there's a zillion other ways to do it. All right, now's where you'd put the springs back in. We're not gonna do that for now because we're gonna test them on our dynamometer, both of them at the same time. So I'm gonna put the cap back on and then we'll get both of these on the dyno. So we've run our first test and we're now gonna start going through a sweep. Once we're done with this, we'll sit down and go through the difference between the old and the new. So far it's looking pretty good. All right, so that was the forks. Now let's get into the shock. We're gonna pull the spring off and then we'll be back. All right, now we've got it clamped up in the vise. First things first, we're gonna knock off the bash plate. Cool, got that out of the way. Gonna hold that out of the way with a peg. Peg's broken, we're just gonna deal with it. Gonna let the gas out with a needle. And now we can push the bladder up and now we can pull out the clip that's holding it in. So that, wear safety glasses. And now we can very carefully get this most of the way out. And push the rest of it out by pushing the seal case in. We're gonna displace enough oil, hopefully, to pop the bladder out. There we go. The standard KYB Showa. It's got a bladder instead of a piston. Now we can get rid of the retaining clip for the seal case. Cool, this time I pulled it out without a fling. Looking like a fool. Now we can pull the entire piston and shaft assembly out. So there you go, there's your piston and shaft assembly. Your rebound adjuster's in there with a needle. You can see down there, that's the needle and jet. I'm not gonna pull the shaft out to show you the rebound adjuster assembly. Pretty stock standard. Give that a quick measure. So I've got about 175 milliliters of oil in this bad boy. Next up, we'll just check the the compression adjuster, check if it needs to be depeened. Doesn't look like it. So pull that out and show it off to you. Now, with some shock absorbers, they'll have these pinned in, and if you try to undo them, you're gonna damage them. So just watch out for that. This one is not the case. And there you go. This is your 2025 compression adjuster. It's actually quite different from the previous ones. Give me a minute and I'll see if I can dig one up for you to show you the difference. Okay, so I've had a look around and this is what the previous compression adjusters used to look like. Pretty much just a needle inside of a jet. Not a ton to it. I mean, it's got a pretty anodizing color. And here's your new one. So as you can see, it's a little bit more complicated. It looks like there's an actual piston in there, which shims. I'll have a look at it. Full disclosure, I have already dynoed one of these before, but never had one apart. And the compression adjusters are now functional. The old school ones were pretty much off or on. These you get a fair bit more adjustment from. So that's interesting to me. The other main differences aside from the increase in length is you've got a screw-on bladder body. Looks to be machined. Aside from that, not too much different aside from the way that the preload adjuster seems to be keyed in. All right, So I'm gonna go and grind these pins. First check if there's pins, and then grind them off, and then we'll lay the assembly out and take a look at it and install a new kit. They generally pin this nut over, so the thread's right around the top deformed. So if you try to take the nut off, you're just gonna end up destroying it. Not a good idea. What we do is we use this little tool here. It's pretty much just an angle grinder. I'll show you how it works later. But if you're gonna do this at home, honestly, I wouldn't recommend it if you need me to tell you how to do this, but you can use a file or something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna get the camera set up and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so now you should be able to see how the threads have been removed, and I've taken a little bit of material right off the top of the nut. If it'll focus. Cool. So now we should be able to pull that off. All right, so we're gonna head back to the bench and then pull it apart and lay it all out for you guys. Okay, so we've got the nut off after we've depinned it. We've done it properly. It should all just slide right off. Start to get a little spacer. So this is pretty much it. This is what's making most of your damping. So you've got clamp washers, compressions, shim stack, a bunch of essentially really, really thin washers. Your piston. So you're gonna find this piston in the old T7, in Aprilia Tuaregs, in Desert X's, and in MT450s, CF Motos, plus plenty more. And a KYB 40mm piston, tried and true. Your rebound stack and its clamp washer. Okay, so we've done an okay job, but I always like to run a die over it just to make sure. So we're gonna be very careful because I don't have a spare. And if I don't, I doubt you do. Okay. So we're gonna be very careful not to let any shavings get into the jet. That would spell disaster. Cover that up. Give it a spray. Okay. So that's that. Now that we've got that all done, we're gonna install our piston and shim specification. It comes with pretty basic instructions. A sticker, chip drops. Here's your system. So not too bad from here. Just undo the top. Slide the assembly off. If you don't have one of these, you just use a screwdriver. So we're gonna reuse parts of the old shim stack. So we are going to grab the rebound one, and where that little plastic spacer was, we're gonna pop that on there. Splice the spacer, throw it in the bin, and slide the rest on.
Which way do you want to go? Like KYB conversion or
And grab the compression, stop washer, and this little spacer.
Yep. Well, depending on.
I can just slide that all on.
I do have a couple of the KYB conversions.
Now we can just effortlessly slide this all on. All right, now that we've got the old gear off and we've cleaned up the thread, we can put our kit on there. So what's it come with?
We do.
Comes with some pretty basic instructions and spec code on the back. Your shim stack and a sticker. Okay, so it's not too hard to put on. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull off the rebound separator to begin with. We're going to reuse a couple of bits. We've got these tools. If you don't have one, just use a screwdriver. There's a little hole in the top here that you can slide this in. So we're going to pull everything off until this first thread spacer. Take that away, throw that in the bin. And then we're going to put the smaller of the two clamp washers. We're going to slide everything else on. Slide. Yeah. And we're going to put clamp washer from the compression, the big one, and the tiny little spacer just on there. So once you've assembled your new stack, you should be able to just slide that right on. Might require a bit of jiggling, but not too much. Yeah. There you go. This is the first time. Just found something new. Looks like the tiny little spacer at the bottom makes the stack a bit too high. We'll pull him off.
Generally look for around 2 to 3 days.
Beautiful. Now we're going to grab our rebound separator. Put on hand tight. And we're going to grab a torque wrench and torquing down to 34 Newton meters. Okay, now with the shaft all back together, we can finally put it back together, the whole shaft. So I'm going to start by loosely putting in the compression adjuster. It's going to come out again in just a minute. We're going to put some shock oil in. We're using KYB K2C. So I've already pulled this apart, inspected the bladder, it's pretty black. No need to change that. Put a bit too much oil in there. It's not making nice. That a couple taps, the pressure spike should get the gas dissolved in the oil to come out. Yep, sounds good. So the seal casing. Set it up. Pop the bladder out. And we can put take it back in. Stick my control back out. I'll tap this in, not all the way, just in case it needs to come apart again. Not that it will. Alright, I can finish up bleeding it.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that would be.
Pump it a couple of times.
Yep.
So that's now 10. Remove the compression adjuster again.
Yeah.
Gently adjuster. See that? I don't know if you saw that or not, that a bunch of bubbles came out.
Yeah.
Notice sometimes the bladder can collapse, so now's a good time to relieve the pressure. Okay.
Oh, so you yeah, you don't like this. Getting those shacks and yourself, yeah. 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 Yeah, it comes out.
Let's hold that up again and press adjuster back in.
That's where that machine comes in.
Okay, now we're done. Now it just needs to be gassed up and we're there, ready to take your T7 to Dakar. Okay, so we've run this a couple of times at various clicker settings so far. This is one of the final ones we're going to do. We're running it at 10 and 10 so we can compare it to the base spec. So far it's all looking good. It's about to finish up and then I can show you the difference. Okie dokie, looks like it's just finished up. So what you can see here are the different PVPs. Purple is the one we've just run, just here. So that's 10 clicks out on both the rebound and compression. So apples to apples, like I was saying. Here is your original. So you can see that we've drastically pumped up the low speed on both compression and rebound, and you've got quite a bit more compression here as well. So what Yamaha and KYB have done is quite good in that they've increased the rebound compared to the original. It's not a bad shock by any means. But I know it's blowing my own horn here, but I think we've made it quite a bit better. So that's going to be a wrap up. The rest of it's just putting the spring and a sticker back on it. Cool. Like, comment, subscribe.